Greetings, my friends. I want to thank you all for subscribing. I want to thank all of my channel members for supporting me in this endeavor to save pop culture. And if you are not subscribed, please consider supporting this channel. We need you. Thank you. Greetings, my friends. I am Dictor Van Doomcock, the future ruler of Earth, and I'm here today to discuss something disturbing that was recently sent to me by my Hollywood spies. I was reviewing some new information sent to me regarding what really happened with Bob Chapek, and then something in that report hit me like a ton of bricks. I had what is sometimes referred to in the alcoholic community as a moment of clarity, and so I set aside the Chapek video for the moment and decided to run with this information and examine at length all the terrible things that it implied. In today's video, I'm going to share an allegation uncovered by my Hollywood spies with some extremely disturbing implications that reach far beyond even the sorry state of Star Wars, information that suggests, at least to me, that Disney is destroying the stories we love, not accidentally, but deliberately and with ruthless precision. Indeed, much of Hollywood is engaged in this suspicious activity, so much so that it feels not like stupidity, not like ignorance, but like a systematic assault on the pop culture we love. But to what end?
I don't know, dude. Maybe they're just commies that hate money, and so their way of protesting against capitalism is sabotaging their own profits. Man, talk about putting your money where your ass is. Straight down the toilet. I have long suspected that suits that run these woke companies are just idiots who don't understand their own properties. They think they're hip cats who are down with the kids and with it, man. 'Cause they think woke is the future and they want to get on that gravy train. Unfortunately for them, that gravy train is all out of gravy and these little wokies haven't got a pot to piss in. And so they piss on pop culture.
I hear what you're saying, and indeed, I felt the same way about it at first. For a long time, I've suspected this assault on pop culture was more than just corporate stupidity, backing the wrong horse, not thinking long-term about the health of your franchises. But now, I believe this trashing of pop culture may be a deliberate attack, not just on our pop culture, but our very civilization. Let's take Disney, for example. The current state of Disney is dismal indeed. Disney is at this point pretty much a dead mouse walking, staggering around drunk on legs wobbly with woke wankery, not realizing that they've lost huge chunks of their audience, their profits, and their reputation as a family-friendly company. Just look at what Disney has done lately. Disney has had to foot the bill for 2 or 3 movies worth of shooting to produce one final bloated Indiana Jones sequel due to scrapbooking and the sheer incompetence running rampant through the halls of Lucasfilm, which seems incapable of producing a production-worthy script and thus routinely rings up massive budget overages that would have gotten any producer fired and blacklisted back in the old days when Hollywood clung to a modicum of fiscal sanity, when Hollywood was a for-profit enterprise. And Disney itself is so creatively bankrupt, it just keeps on cranking out shitty live-action remakes of their past classics, making the Walt Disney Company a metaphorical vulture, feeding on its own road-killed corpse. Peter Pan and Wendy, for example, has been harshly panned even by the mainstream media in a number of reviews as lifeless, dismal, and unnecessary. The live-action remake of The Little Mermaid looks like a shit sandwich without the bread. Disney is suing the state of Florida, and Florida is suing back. Disney continues to alienate more and more former customers with their insane obsession with woke propaganda. Disney Plus subs are reportedly at a standstill, and this is just scratching the surface of just how bad things are at Disney. At this point, you have to ask yourself a question. How could such systematic and methodical failure be an accident? Bob Iger, the Disney board, these people are not raving idiots. They couldn't be in such positions of authority. Observing the reactions of the public and former Disney fans, any reasonably intelligent human being would realize, hey, whatever we're doing, it's not working. If the Disney executives were motivated by making profits for their investors and their shareholders, they would certainly have changed course by now. It's been years and years since The Last Jedi divided the fan base. Since then, ratings for Star Wars projects have declined and grosses diminished to the point where even Solo actually lost money, and yet they continually double down on the destruction of Star Wars and their own classic IPs. Well, I ask you, what if all this destruction is deliberate? What if the destruction is the point? I ask you to hear me out, to consider this line of reasoning and see if you agree that it points to a deliberate and systematic attack on Western culture designed to demoralize and destroy our geek myths and our geek tribe. At this point, I must state that what I'm about to tell you is information provided to me by sources claiming knowledge of the situation inside Disney, but since I cannot personally verify this information, I am presenting it as unverified rumor, and I ask you to please take it with a grain of salt. Yesterday, I received the following message from my Hollywood spies, quote, "There is a war at Disney, and it is a very bitter situation. Disney is hiring people who are unqualified, underexperienced, etc., for the exact reasons of they are easily controlled. And to be fair and honest, this goes for Hollywood in general at the moment. Not only that, but Disney actively looks for people who have no knowledge or very limited knowledge of any particular project, be that Marvel, Star Wars, etc., with the main purpose that the writers don't have to stay focused on canon." Unquote. Now think about this, my friends. The allegation that Disney is hiring people with as little knowledge of Marvel and Star Wars as possible is one of the most damning things I've ever heard. It is just common sense that if you want to appeal to fans of an existing property, you hire experts who also happen to love or at least know that property, at least enough to understand what it's all about and why it appeals to its core audience. But this bit of info all but proves that Disney, along with other woke studios in Hollywood, is not accidentally wrecking all these franchises. They're actually doing it deliberately. Why? Because it's a concerted attack on our culture from those forces without and perhaps within, who want to undermine Western culture to demoralize us and to divide us. Back when we had just 3 major channels to watch, the country was more or less on the same page. 2 political parties that agreed on core principles of democracy, but disagreed on the best way to foster and preserve that democracy. This was possible because of our common frame of cultural reference. We all watched more or less the same shows. Journalism had principles of neutrality, to present the facts and nothing but the facts, and let the public then make informed decisions based on those facts. But now, we really have no common frames of reference left intact. Indeed, things have gotten so bad now, one of the last common frames of reference remaining is our shared past, and a key part of that shared past is pop culture. Pop culture, by definition, seems like a frivolous thing. Disposable stuff about space wizards and superheroes. But in reality, pop culture is made up of stories that reinforce the common shared values of our culture. Individuality, heroism, sacrifice, nobility, justice, commitment to freedom. These are the values exemplified by characters like Superman, Captain Kirk, Captain America. Is it any wonder that these characters and the universes containing them would be a prime target for enemies of this country to attack? Before recording technologies could directly convey stories through the ages, tribes transmitted the stories and myths central to the identity of their tribes via oral tradition. Stories that explained the worldview of the tribe, that ensured from father to son, mother to daughter, that the traditions and beliefs that bound the tribe together would survive from year to year. So, what's a great way to destroy a tribe, to splinter them, fragment them, divide and alienate the members to the point where they no longer know what they stand for? Attack their stories. Change the stories. Subvert the heroes of the stories. Pervert the lessons those stories teach. And you dissolve the moral glue that binds the tribe together. Well, that's what's happening now, my friends. Companies like Disney and Paramount, in subverting and undermining Star Wars and Star Trek, Marvel and DC Comics, are attacking us at the mythic level. We can no longer agree that Luke Skywalker was a hero because The Last Jedi turned Luke into a cowardly defeatist who abandoned his friends and allowed the Empire to rise anew in the form of a fascist First Order. And subsequently, Lucasfilm went on to present the New Republic itself, the good guys, as fascists who use mind control technology on former Empire defectors. Gene Roddenberry created a humanistic, optimistic vision of humanity where everyone, human or alien, was treated with equality and respect. But New Trek, the bastardized version created by Secret Hideout, scraps all of that optimism and presents the Star Trek universe as a dark, ugly, objectively stupid universe where mutineers are heroes, F-bombs fall freely, and extreme violence, including plucked out eyeballs and severed baby heads, are the order of the day. Superman, in the comics, loses his power and spends 8 months in a prison camp, and it is strongly implied that Superman gets sexually abused in those camps, as incredible as that sounds. And in this last season of Picard, they display the bones of James T. Kirk in a museum like some kind of sick trophy. And with these hiring practices of Disney's, recruiting people who know nothing about the pop culture they're perverting, they ensure that no one is there in the writer's room to stand in the way of these cultural perversions hostile to our history and our culture. In light of this information about their reluctance to hire people who love Star Wars, if it's true, then this degradation of our culture is no accident. It's deliberate, folks, as I've always suspected. Disney is deliberately attacking our culture if this piece of information is true. So is it any wonder that former audiences are turning away from this insulting and destructive attempt to dissolve and reconfigure our civilization? I think not. A mere shift in perception of the established pattern explains everything. Disney is not creating garbage that loses money through incompetence. They're doing it, in my opinion, because destroying our myths is a necessary step toward breaking our civilization down and replacing it with something else. Something I have a feeling we're not going to like at all. Yuri Bezmenov warned us about this divide and subvert strategy back in the 80s, but Hollywood moves slowly, my friends. Hollywood moves very slowly. And in Hollywood, right now, it's 1984. From the center of the earth, this is Dictor Van Doomcock bidding you all, my friends, stay angry.
Ha ha ha.